Yeah, I think like birthdays are these like they're good as a kid, aren't they?
Birthday parties.
Birthday- Yeah, but
Yeah.
like that, did you enjoy your like you're turning 8, bit of pass the parcel, whatever. It's all on you, all the attention, and
Loved it.
laser force. Oh my god! And then you count. Did you used to count the days down? You'd be like, oh, in four
Oh,
days, it's my special day.
biggest
It's
deal.
my special day. And everyone would come together and you'd want the day to never end sometimes there'd be a sleepover part, like it would just keep going,
Yeah.
like those birthdays, and you're like,
Uh-huh.
fuck. And then now I feel like I dread my birthday. Like it can start it's just an opportunity to be embarrassed in a new way, a
Let's
birthday.
let's explore that. How so where's the embarrassment?
The embarrassment is located in a few separate areas that I think sort of link in, but are separate. Firstly, you're basically decaying as a human organism.
Right. So you're
So
dying. You're
you're
aware
dying.
that you're dying.
You're dying, and as a kid, you're celebrating growth. Like
Right.
you're like, oh, I'm going to be an adult. I can't wait. There's like something on
Yep.
the horizon.
Uh-huh.
Now, when you're in your 30s, you're in the middle of a horizon that is just not has not eventuated.
You don't want to know about it.
You don't
Yeah,
want to know about
when
it.
you're a kid, you're like, yes, I'm getting older now. Soon I'm going to be 10. When I'm 10, everyone's going to, I'm going to be a proper person. You're growing to, and then you get to our age and you're like, I'm dying. I'm getting closer to death, a hoveling idiot with a walking frame that's just, worthless.
Begging people to hang out.
Yeah.
Please come and hang out. But no, and also there's no like weird horizon where it's like, can't wait till I'm 50, then I'll have friends or whatever,
Yeah. Then I'll be
Like
able
there's
to do
no
what I
that
want. Yeah.
when I'm 50, then they let you drink, they let you drink poison when you're 50, which will be great. I can't wait to drink actual poison. Like, there's a weird, at least
Oh,
18 as a horizon.
you mean alcohol?
I
Like,
mean, like actual poison. Like I just was trying to create another drink that there's like an age barrier to or whatever. Like they let you get
right.
fentanyl when you're 50. There's no like extra
I
thing that
see. Whereas
like
we feel like we're building to 18 as we grow up, so we can drink, we can drive a car, we can drink, we can go where we want, maybe
it's a
even
video
possibly.
game.
It's a video game, but no one's going, you wait till I get to 50, then I get to boot up heroin.
Yeah, when you're 50, you get a house. They give you a house. The government
Yeah.
gives you a house. I can't wait.
Yeah.
Um, it's just all things are getting worse each
So
year.
one level of embarrassment is the fact that you're a slowly decaying older human that becomes increasingly worthless in the eyes of society.
Yes, you increasingly have gut pains that don't have a traceable source and so on.
Yeah, and you have
Things
pains
are
in your
getting
back,
worse.
and yeah, your serotonin,
Sciatica.
you've burnt all your serotonin out doing MDMA at
Yeah.
festivals and stuff. So you're also just gradually becoming more miserable. And
Yeah.
it's not like our society looks up to old people. Like I don't know if you've
No.
ever heard anyone ever say like, old people are good for their wisdom. Let's gather around the old people and hear what they've got to say. It's always just like nursing home, crisis, corruption.
Yeah. Get in a hole, invisible, stay away. Like you're a reminder of decay, you bastard.
Yeah.
Like it's almost like a resentment when people see like a guy that's got like an L-shaped back. Those
Yeah.
guys, like
Yeah.
there's years of bad posture. I'm going to be that guy. The guy you
Yeah.
can put like a tablecloth over their back and have a plowman's board, like at the bus stop or whatever.
That's the weirdest. That's the weirdest way to describe someone's hunchback. Is
Yeah.
like I'm describing a hunchback that I can eat a bourgeois inner city gentrified meal off.
Yeah. No, it's rare that you describe someone's sciatica as good for a picnic, like their back is good for a picnic. Like you could have a.
It's also. Oh god. Oh god. Their back is good for
Yeah.
a picnic.
Your
Yeah.
back's good for a picnic, mate. He's like, fucking kill me. Yeah, but I'm
Oh
looking
God,
for
it's
Dr.
horrible.
Nitschke. I'm looking for Dr. Nitschke. Yeah, who's now invented suicide pods, which is a good, like, that's what you look forward to, isn't it? Having a conference call with him about the suicide pod you've ordered.
For people
So
listening,
when will it be ready? When will it be ready, Dr. Nitschke?
so could just to pull you up there, Nitschke is the man who invented the suicide pod.
Yeah, he's also known as Dr. Death as by friends.
And the suicide
That's
pod
what,
for people playing at home, as they say in goofy podcasts, like "Blah."
yeah,
For
yeah,
people.
yeah. That it's like a tanning bed, but you go into it. It's sort of the same thing. You get in, and then it just sort of it ends you somehow. I think it releases a gas or poison or something that just sort of gently lulls you into oblivion.
For people listening, that this is real. There is a thing called a suicide pod you can buy, which is like a relaxing pod you put yourself into and press a button and die. If you want to
Yeah,
euthanize yourself or be euthanized, it's a suicide pod. So it's
yeah,
like a luxury suicide.
yeah. It's like those Japanese hotels where you can climb into a pod and have a
Right,
sleep.
right.
I've stayed at one of them. It's like halfway between a hostel and a hotel. You just get in a pod and sleep. But this one, you don't wake up in this one.
Right.
But yeah,
It's
he actually,
it's pretty remarkable that we went from birthday parties to suicide pods so quickly.
it's rare that you get that quickly between the two in that Rorschach test of birthday party, suicide pod. Like it's not, but yeah,
Different parts of the brain, aren't they?
that link up. But
Yeah.
Philip Nitschke wrote a book about killing old people, and it's just like I think it's called "Dying Softly," like letting him go softly or something, like is the
Right.
title. And then it's him in a Hawaiian shirt and
He's on the front cover.
like a Hawaiian shirt, so he looks like Dr. Carl. You know,
Right.
Dr. Carl. Like you're like, oh, it's Dr. Carl's got a new book where he's killing people
Well, that's funny because
on
he's a
trip.
guy I wish would get in a suicide pod. So there's a twist. That his book sounds like a bit like Jordan Peterson's book. It's one of those books that you secretly read but keep under your bed in case one of your left wing mates come over.
The Suicide Pod book.
Yeah, yeah. You got to keep Jordan Peterson hidden if you're reading it because I took a peek out of during the height of his popularity to see what he was about, and it's not a book that I leave openly for people to see. The Suicide Pod book, Jordan Peterson, Mein Kampf, they're just books you hide.
Well, that's why you get a Kindle because
Yeah,
you're reading books like that.
yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
you got to get a Kindle
You got to get
with
Kindle.
the books I've got.
Yeah.
But yeah. But yeah. Anyway, I was just he's got to wear a Hawaiian shirt to leaven the blow of what he's talking about. Do you know what I mean? It's tropical.
Yeah, so he's gone death book, how to kill old people slowly but peacefully. And he's gone, I better
Yeah,
counteract this because if he was just wearing a black funeral suit, no one would
it would
buy
look
it.
sinister. It would look sinister, right?
Like he's enjoying
But
it.
you wear like a Mambo shirt with a clock and a dog and a palm tree. Suicide, yeah. Like it's
Like
a bit
that
more
goofy
like
profile picture that actors and comedians have, like where they're reaching behind their back. And they're like, how to kill old people in pods that I've invented.
with the Hawaiian
Yeah.
tropical
Yeah. Yeah.
like I'm
Goofy
busy.
look.
Like he's surrounded by
Yeah.
paperwork. He's like
Yeah. Yeah.
suicide.
Looking like farcically confused, like "Prrr."
I think it is like that. He's like, you just hop in. I give you
Yeah.
fentanyl. 4 minutes, you're out forever. I'm a
Yeah.
good guy.
It's
Like, is this
terrifying to
wholesome,
make
dude?
suicide luxury relaxing, isn't it? Because it's just nobody needs that to be gentrified, if I may use that
Well,
term.
do you really want to be put down by a guy that's got the same name as Friedrich Nietzsche? Like,
Yeah.
just like a guy that's like, goodbye.
Yeah, you're
He
quite
should change
right.
his name.
Mm.
Can I borrow your suicide pod? Yeah, just for the yeah,
Yeah,
people doing that.
no, yeah, no, nobody is ever like, can I borrow your suicide pod?
Like it feels like a one
He,
only use.
yeah, he put a nick in my suicide pod. Look, there's a scratch.
There's
He
a
might have
dent.
tried to claw his way out or something at one point. He's damaged my suicide pod. Trevor did. Rest in peace. But, bloody lend your suicide pod out to a mate. This is how they return it.
He's been scratching the top of it as if he was desperately trying, as if he was buried alive. I don't.
As if he regretted. As if suddenly he had a moment of flashes of what life's actually about.
But Dr. Death said it was all right. He said he wanted to do it. So, I trust the guy in the Hawaiian shirt. Always have.
So that's one level of embarrassment, the fact that you're getting older and dying.
Yes.
What other levels of embarrassment do you feel about birthdays?
It's an annual audit on how alienated you are from friends and family.
Wow,
that's
a deep one.
It's like an accountant coming in and going, "There's been some discrepancies in your tax return." Like, turns out Jonathan can't make it, or whatever. Like it's
right.
Oh, he's growing distant, or so on. Like it's a way to just work out how. That's just a small one as well. That's not even the big. The biggest
Right.
is, I think we've talked about this, is throughout your life you just gather so many experiences that your friends are increasingly eclectic and different to each other because they're from different spheres of your life.
Once you start getting into your 30s and so on, everybody, you don't have a core group as much geographically. It's mostly geography, isn't it? Because everybody gets married. A lot of people move. A lot of people get very serious professional careers, and you just don't see everybody anymore as a single unified group. You have friends from over here, friends from over there, work friends. And so when you have a birthday, sometimes your friends, like I think of my friends, and they're just too eclectic
to have together in the same room.
Right. I've got like old high school friends, and then I've got like a mate that I knew from college who's like a real estate agent, and then I've got like comedy friends that are artsy, and I've got corporate friends that like would wear a suit and kind of like quite conservative, and then I've got like country friends, and there's
let's
like
bring
one
them together
from each group, and it's like, let's have tapas together and hope that the real estate agent doesn't say retard again in front of the super left-leaning Melbourne comic. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you got the bricklayer, the guy that runs a biodynamic farm, a skinhead, a director of an arts festival at a prestigious university, a guy in high vis, and they're all coming together to break bread and celebrate you together.
Yeah, and
then you're looking at the stonemason going like, "Please, stonemason, don't say homo."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So you're like micromanaging the conversations between them, like trying to break in between, like, yeah, what about this camembert or whatever? Because you're trying to not make them get to know each other so much that he says something that upsets them, and now you're mediating between two people that blame you.
You're micromanaging, you're hyper aware, and you're hyper vigilant of the eclectic nature of the group. So you feel like you've got to do there's a lot of stress because you don't want the high vis guy and the arts guy ending up having to have an awkward conversation about feminism.
Yeah, totally.
Or political correctness.
And then keep in mind, you've also told all these people different lies, and now they can come together and find out. You know what I mean? Like you're different. Like I just mean in the sense that you've got like the average human has 9 different personalities, that we're different with different people. Right. So if you don't have a consistent sense of self, you in some way reflect the person you talk to or calibrate yourself to each individual. So sometimes
So you could have nine different lies.
Yeah. 9 different people, 9 different lies. And now it's like, now I've got to have a consistent personality for this one night where it all comes together.
Right. Yeah, I see what you mean.
Like you're
Yeah,
not going to be
yeah.
the same with the bricklayer as you are with the cultural arts
Critic.
director.
Yeah.
When you talk,
No.
like I'm sure even your accent and stuff changes when you know what I mean. It's like when you're in a construction, it's like you're like, yeah, 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 that is good. That is good. Like you change, you're like, yeah, sounds good. Like, but with the arts one, you're like, yes, that is interesting. Like there's more, you would notice subtle things that would change, I think.
Yeah, I agree. Completely agree. And what do you think the worst one is then? If you've got so far you've said decay and death,
Yeah.
and you've had an audit on all your friends and family who actually gives a fuck, and
Yep.
then I'm dying to know what can possibly be the cherry on this fucking harrowing pie.
Keep in mind, we're talking about birthday,
Yeah.
traditionally something that like a lot
Yeah.
of people are just like, a lot of people are just like, yeah, it's my birthday. Yeah. You know, those people, they go
Yeah.
around society. They're around. I've seen them every night of the year. They're like, it's my birthday. Woo. And they
Mm.
they set off noises at tables. They'll disrupt like entire communities
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
because of their special day.
Yes. I wish I had that level of self-belief and confidence
Yeah.
to just go, it's my birthday. I want to gather all these people in just to celebrate me. Because I've said this to you before, I never have birthday parties because I feel like every gig's at kind of like a birthday party where I'm always trying to get people to come and it is all about me. And every gig is like a mini celebration of me or whoever comic, whatever comic's on.
Right.
So then you have this one, another gig where you're like, oh, look, this one I'm not performing for you or anything. I just want you to come. And for me, it just,
Yeah. Yeah. It's like if because is an event that's organized, it's like a similar thing where the attention is on you or whatever.
mhm.
Then like why on your one night off replicate that again, kind of thing? Like because it's not. So you're saying it's almost like not a contrasting experience. It's almost just more of the same.
Yeah, I guess
But
there's a selfishness to comedy, obviously. And I just feel like I feel it feels very similar to me to the everybody let's gather around and celebrate me. Because that's what a birthday party is.
right, but if you're an accountant or whatever,
Exactly.
then you're all year it's like take these documents, do this, it's get tell the boss. So like that, I think they're the people that have the fucking
The biggest
you know
parties.
they're wearing a top hat at a fucking restaurant or something. They always wear some weird thing, and
They have a special thing, and yeah, yeah,
yeah, they're wearing like a top hat and a bow tie, going, "Well, it's my birthday, my liege," because
yeah.
they're frustrated about working in admin or whatever,
Right, and it's their chance to let loose.
and let everyone else suffer, make everyone
Right,
else suffer for them, and
right.
make it about them
Yeah, that looks like fun to me.
doing
Like,
that.
yeah, the Price Waterhouse Coopers guy. Like, have one thing, you know, one thing. Everybody comes out for it. You just go, it's about me. Go fuck yourself, okay? But stand up wears you down because you're like, it's about me. 4 nights a week. Come along if you can get to one of them.
It's funny to be reluctantly. Yeah, it's going to be about me 6 nights a week on average.
Yeah,
It's about me.
yeah, and people drop in when they can, kind of thing. It's like, oh
For it to
yeah,
be
I
about
heard you're in town. Like I get a lot of people drop in when I tour. It's just like, oh yeah, they only come to see you during the gigs or whatever.
yeah,
Not
yeah.
exclusively, but it's part of it, sort of thing. Want to come see what you're doing? So that becomes the social occasion.
You just do it all through that.
Imagine if you had one gig a year, you would wear a top hat, wouldn't you?
Yeah, you'd wear a green jacket, a little bow tie. You'd really, yeah, you they. I don't think a performer or anyone comedian or like could celebrate their birthday in that style of like, do you know what I mean? It's like crazy to do 300 gigs a year and then be like, it's my birthday. Yeah, we're going to disrupt this restaurant.
Must have
Like, and make it.
immense reserves of narcissism and self-belief and selfish, like, attention seeking.
It
You
was
must
funny.
have massive
Yeah.
reserves.
It's funny, yeah, to have 300, like a grueling touring schedule. If it's about me every night, it's about me. Come see me every night. And then it's their birthday. They go into a pub and just disrupt it. And like, it's my birthday.
That's
Happy
exactly what Kevin
himself.
Hart does in his doco. In the doco about Kevin
Yeah,
Hart on Netflix, he has his birthday and he just goes out to a crowd and like blows out a cake and gets a mic and
Jesus.
goes, like, I'm not talking about a gig. I'm talking about like a
Yeah,
nightclub or something where he's like, yeah, it's my birthday. Yeah. Everyone's like, woo. Like he had an event
that's
for his
insane.
birthday.
That's crazy. He did a gig at his own birthday.
Well, it was sort of like an event for his birthday that was like a
That's
gig. It's
insane.
almost exactly the exact version of what we're saying on a celebrity level.
I was thinking that like a drug kingpin, there's a lot in common with being a drug kingpin and being an Uber Eats delivery driver
Okay.
because they can,
Okay.
yeah.
No, all right. You go. You go. You go. Because I
Well,
want
no,
to hear this.
just insofar as the work-life balance is all mucked up. There's no clear separation of work-life balance for a drug kingpin or an Uber Eats driver. Because and the reason I thought this is I was, about the Broadbeach Bikie Brekkie brawl of 2017
It
or
does ring a
recently.
bell. Yeah. It
It
does
was
ring a
in the
bell.
Gold Coast Bulletin. It was one of their big like Watergate stories, like how like the Wall Street Journal or whoever broke Watergate was
Yeah.
like it becomes associated with the news,
Right.
like
Yeah.
that paper, like the Post or whatever. Yeah, but yeah. Anyway, but yeah, so yeah,
So what you're
the head
saying
of
is the Gold Coast Bulletin's Watergate is a bikie brawl in a bistro.
in a bistro in
Right.
Broadbeach.
Yeah.
That's their Watergate.
Right. Right.
Is
Makes
breaking a story that juicy.
that all adds up.
So basically, I think I don't know what it was. The head of the Chimichiros or one of those groups was just at the bistro, um,
Mm.
trying to relax,
Mm-hmm.
trying to unwind after a busy week of trafficking methamphetamine across state lines with his lovely fiance, eating a steak sandwich with caramelized onion and all that stuff. Those brekkie brunch sandwiches with shoestring fries or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And so, just he would be like, fuck, this is good. We're al fresco, having brunch with my broad, just chilling, sun's out, Premier Bistro. And
He's having his day off.
it's his day off. Come on, Sunday.
Yeah.
Like a stressful week, no doubt. Every week.
No doubt.
And then what happens? A bandito comes from behind and chairs him in the back of the head.
Right. So a rival gang member throws
Rival
a chair,
gang.
smashes him over the head with a stool.
With a bar stool, yeah.
With a bar stool.
With a bistro stool. One of those tall stools.
Yeah, right.
And then, he chairs him in the back of the head. Next minute, they're all on top of each other. People are getting chaired. Like, people are getting catastrophic head injuries from being chaired over and over again, being put through windows and stuff. And I just think that's got to suck. He thought that was his holiday.
And so bring that back to how that's similar to an Uber Eats driver.
That's similar to an Uber Eats driver in that, well, that Chimichurro, that was his day off and his work came to visit him, didn't it, during his holiday?
Certainly did.
And similar to an Uber Eats driver, like they might be like, fuck, I'll have a coffee with Carlos.
Right.
Just a brief break in this precarious existence.
Right.
I'll have a venti at Starbucks with Carlos, and we'll have a chin wag.
Yep.
And
we'll catch up on Latin culture.
We'll catch up on our shared love of Latin culture, and but then as soon as he sits down with his venti, cap macchiato, whatever, he gets a notification saying that buffalo wings need to be delivered stat.
Right.
And
So that's his violent intrusion to his break.
it's a violent intrusion. There's the Chinese water torture of continual, am I working? Am I not?
Right.
Like, you never know when your break is. Whether you're a drug kingpin or an Uber Eats delivery driver, your holidays are never certain, and work can intrude at any time.
It's a long bow to draw to compare the brutal bashing of the leader of a drug cartel in the form of the Bikie, him getting beaten by a bar stool nearly to death, sparking a catastrophic bar fight, damaging the premises, and comparing that intrusion to having to deliver buffalo wings. However, there, there is some similar. There is. It just depends on your definition of violence, doesn't it? Like,
I would say the buffalo wing request is a violent intrusion of gig economy work
right,
into a life, into the best made plans.
right.
Like, his inability to plan is having a psychic toll on him that can't be calculated almost. Like,
Right.
having a day where you might have to deliver buffalo wings and ride a bike precariously through lorries and buses and like almost get killed. Like, just knowing there's a 50% chance you're going to have to do that, it's a
Ruins the
complete
day.
intrusion.
And you're
Yeah, you
saying
can't
the
go
same's
wrong.
going on with the drug kingpin.
Absolutely. He's like, I'll get a steak sandwich, we'll decompress
So
on a
there's a part
Sunday.
of him. There's a part of him that's going, but someone might try and kill me.
Yeah, 10% of the back of his brain, which is where he got hit with the chair, is like thinking, what if there's a bandito behind me?
And then the gig economy worker
Yeah.
has got a tiny percentage of his brain thinking the same thing.
Yeah, he's having a coffee with Carlos going like, oh, it's tough, crazy world we live in. And then beep, 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 beep. Like, the thing goes off. Buffalo wings now.
Buffalo
Drop the
wings.
coffee.
Yeah.
We're on the moped going into traffic, peak hour, buffalo wings. There's no
yeah.
separation.
There's no
There's
separation
no,
of your work, which is a lot like comedy.
yeah.
We don't know when we're working and not working because you can be in theory working anytime.
Which I think leads to a constant drip feed of stress, like a Chinese water torture type view of stress, where there's just like, maybe it's happening. There's just so much uncertainty to it that it takes this stressful toll. Where
Yeah.
if everything was
Yep. Yep.
delineated properly, you wouldn't feel it. If you
Yep.
could just leave it somewhere and then leave.
It's very true. It's so true. There's actually a commonality between the gig economy worker and the bandito or the other, whatever the other gang is I love that the Gold Coast Bulletin, this is a bit of an aside, but allow
Yeah,
me,
and a
indulge me.
sideball.
That is the craziest fucking pun attempt I've ever heard in my life. I assume you're going for a side bowl, a side bowl,
A
and you went for
sideball.
a side bowl. Fucking hell.
A sideball of truth.
A side bowl of truth. I was going to say that the Gold Coast Bulletin loves the detail of what the bandito was eating.
Mm.
They love that. Have you noticed
Obsessed.
that? The Gold Coast Bulletin and
With what
Cheap
you're eating.
obsessed with it, with the food, because it says so much about the person eating it or the character. It's like that article they had about Sir Lunchalot, the union leader, because Murdoch papers love ripping into union leaders. And there was a union leader they called Sir Lunchalot.
Couldn't stop eating lunch, apparently. Could not stop. Every day would blow like $3,000 on these lunches, these boozy lunches that would just go, like, they loved talking about how long they would go. Like, sometimes they'd meet at 11 and they'd be on their first magnum of champagne and they'd go into all the detail. Like, it would be a 12-course degustation that was lazily spread through the afternoon.
So much of it's about the food in that article because it was a reoccurring series. So Lunchalot is back. So Lunchalot
Yeah.
pulls out his knife, pulls out his sword, and it's like in brackets steak knife or whatever. Like it's this ongoing. And every article is just like so Lunchalot strikes again, union leader. And this is the twist that gets
Yeah.
the working class. How Murdoch gets the working class. He goes and he didn't pay for a single meal. And that really pisses people off, Australians especially, where they're like, he didn't fucking pay for a meal. He's not working.
He would boast. In fact, he would boast. He would be like, "I've not paid for lunch ever." Like he would like that was like the joke. He'd laugh, like I never pay for lunch, and like
So
everyone else would
Lunchalot
pay for his lunch.
chuckles. So Lunchalot scoffs as he says,
They made him into this supervillain where he represents working class interests but lives the life of a dandy. That was the great take. Like Sir Lunch-a-Lot, like he's this sort of dandy-esque Great Gatsby figure, but it's on the public
elitist.
dime.
Yeah.
So it makes it even worse.
Isn't that just the perfect fodder for a Murdoch paper?
That's what they're looking for, like a Great Gatsby character on Centrelink.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like a guy, like
yeah. Yeah.
like a guy that goes canoeing in polos.
Yeah.
Like, but do you know what I mean? But like,
yeah, absolutely.
He's on the
They want to rip into working class interests, but they try to do it like they're highfalutin. Like, oh, you think Sir Lunchalot's looking after your interests, the working class? He's Sir Lunchalot. He's eating oysters and then second course, third course, fourth course, sashimi.
The fourth magnum is opened. You know, they'd go into that, like the fourth magnum of champagne. They popped as laughter echoed through the restaurant, like derisive laughter echoed through.
And there's always like a blurry photo of him, like, you know, like he's on a yacht.
Hiding under a suit. Yeah.
Yeah. So Lunchalot strikes again.
He's in prison now for eating too many lunches. That's basically what's happened.
Right.
So
like he actually got caught up for spending too much money on lunches.
I think they even had a thing where it's like, so Lunch-a-Lot will be dining on this, and like showed the prison meal.
I thought you were going to say so Lunch-a-Lot should be dining on this, and it cuts to a burly, like ripped dude with tats, skinhead, with a swastika covering his eyes. You know what I mean? Like,
oh, like he'll be, yeah,
he'll be raped by the Nazi.
Oh, yeah, right, yeah. Rather than have his elite taste buds.
I remember one was like Sir Lunch-a-Lot impales another meal or whatever. Like there were a lot of sword analogies.
Okay.
Sir Lunch-a-Lot impales another scallop.
With his knife. Yeah, like he'd bring his own special steak knife for lunch.
Yeah, that he pulls out of a
like a sheath.
Yeah, sheath. Yeah, pulls out his steak knife out of his sheath because he has so many lunches. He's like, shing, gets out his steak knife and hoes into another wagyu, dry aged wagyu.
Yeah, they would love that, like the dry aged freezers that he would be
the detail,
like picking out like marbled, aged farm to table steaks.
Well, they love the detail of the food because it aggravates the working class Murdoch paper kind of people that Murdoch, well, how Murdoch sees it as the working class because he's a fucking psycho, and he's like, the more detail into the food, the more aggravating it is. Because if they just Sir Lunch-a-Lot unsheaths his steak knife and rips into a steak, is not as aggravating and fury.
Yeah,
creating fury in the reader when it's like Sir Lunch-a-Lot unsheaths his Japanese style stainless steel knife and slowly cuts the buttery, grass-fed Tasmanian wagyu, marbled, cooked and seared with medium rare. The juices flow as Sir Lunch-a-Lot does another deal on the public dime. You know, like the poetry.
The poetry of it, because they don't want to go, Sir Lunch-a-Lot liked a chicken palmy.
No.
He liked to surf and turf. Because then you go, oh, it's just a union leader fucking blowing off some steam. Yeah.
Yeah. I like a surf
and turf.
You like a steak. Yeah, but is there a snail that was roasted French style?
Did he have an effeminate salad as a side? Like an endive and cucumber, like a dehydrated artichoke salad kind of thing with like a story behind each little ingredient in it? Like the vinaigrette on the oyster. Like, you need to put all that weird chef's table stuff in.
Because the
Like,
problem
it's
was
got
they
to,
didn't have that much information on what he was actually doing. So they really
yeah,
only had the meal.
yeah. You couldn't
So
work out what he'd done wrong,
right. So they
except
had to really fill the article with the meal. So I was like the waiter slowly casually strolled over and he put out the first course. And then it just went through everything he ate. It just went through everything he ate. And then finally, and by the time you get to the end, it's like, this cunt's just had a good meal. And that annoys me. And fuck the unions. Workers don't deserve the protection. Fucking,
yeah,
they're also lunch-a-lots, you know?
yeah. They all well, yeah. It's also like all union money just goes to his vinaigrette oysters with like Worcestershire. Like it all goes into his like pomegranate
Yeah. And then you end up with
speckled
you end up with
salad and stuff.
a fucking wharfie or a forklift driver next day walks in and goes, I quit the union. You can fucking enjoy your seared halloumi tappers with grilled Turkish bread where you drizzle on organic style olive oil. And then there's a pesto that's house made that you dip it in that. You can have all that, you cunt. And they're like, what? Just what? They don't even know. Like, they don't know that he's been reading Murdoch paper. So what?
Yes.
The
So
union
lunch a
leader's
lot.
like, what? I didn't even know. Why is he leaving?
Well,
No.
because it's so lunch a lot.
Okay, so look up a couple of the headlines and read them out. This is worth it, I think.
One here is Sir Lunchalot was always hungry. And then they've got a quote. They've got him quoted by and he's a senior public. He told a senior public servant, another kind of union, like fuck you type job. He goes, "I've grown up with nothing, and I'm going to get everything I can get."
Wow. That's really damning, isn't it?
Using the taxpayers' money.
Wow. Yeah.
To dine.
That's fucking hilarious.
And then there's another one here. How Sir Lunchalot was knighted. Bit of a tongue in cheek.
That's a good one.
Bit of a tongue. And they've got a few lines here that are good. When disgraced Minister Ian MacDonald granted when disgraced Minister Ian MacDonald granted a controversial mining license to his union mate, he celebrated the deal over champagne and suckling pig.
Oh my God, it's so good.
That's great, eh?
I love that. Is there actually an image of Sir Lunchalot?
There's a few, yeah.
Is he fat?
No, he's not. I think he's a big guy. He's not like morbidly obese.
Right. That's kind of funny.
Maybe the stress of the corruption kept his weight off.
That's great. Is there any more?
Yeah, there's a lot. Let's hear it now. There's another good one here, actually.
Yeah. I love it.
I think there's a sidekick in this one.
Oh.
DJ Pub Lunch.
No. You're joking.
No. Someone like that, though. Jesse Food. They call him Jesse Food Coma.
No.
Oh, fuck. That's another person called Sir Eats a Lot, who's actually a professional eater. So that's a mistake.
Oh, man. So Lunchalot's so good.
Champagne and suckling pig off the menu for Ian MacDonald.
And that's a different suckling pig.
Yeah, but
so there's
different
two
articles.
So do two different articles mention suckling pig?
Yeah.
Wow.
And then they've got a photo of him picking Fuji apples on his property. Which I don't know why that's so funny to have a story about the suckling pig. And then it's him in a Cobra picking Fuji apples on a property in the Blue Mountains.
It's so funny. It's just so funny. It's just because it's funny because he's already publicly nationally shamed for eating, just obsessively eating continuously to the point of corruption. And then the only photo they've got of him is picking food as well, like picking food off a tree. It's just so funny. It's just so food. It's so food oriented. It's just insane.
Yeah, it's just so, yeah, it is so funny because they obviously had that thing where they're like, which photo should we use? The one of him getting handcuffed and taken to prison, or now what about this one of him in an Akubra picking Fuji apples? Like he's never like even on his property, he's just can't. It's got to be food. Like I'll pick some
picking a fresh apple to eat
off his taxpayer funded property.
Yeah. Oh, I love it.
So yeah, suckling pig and champagne, fantastic.